Kia ora koutou, and welcome to this video about the new moon in Aquarius that's coming up shortly. It's quite an exciting new moon and we're going to get into that. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar.nz. First of all, I'm going to turn over the calendar so we can see Aquarius. We are just about done with the lunar month of Capricorn, and now we are talking about the new moon in Aquarius. So let's get into what the energy of that new moon will look like. The new moon in Aquarius takes place on Sunday, 22nd of January. And we're going to have a look at how that is placed in the solar year. So looking at the bigger picture, thinking back to winter when the sun is at its lowest energy, then it builds up to midsummer in December, and we're just coming out of that period. The sun is blazing down at us. And if we look at the lunar cycle on top of that, so the lunar cycle, the energy goes up and down with each lunar month. And if you look at the little black dots or spots, those are little new moons, and then the energy builds up to the full moon, the little white spot. So here you can see that there's the new moon in Aquarius, and the energy will be low at that point for a couple of days, but not for long. And here is one of the reasons why. We've had a lot of planets in retrograde, especially Mercury and Mars being personal planets, and they're just coming out of retrograde. Mars is finished now at the time of recording, and Mercury will finish its retrograde a few days before the new moon. And Uranus has also been retrograde. That doesn't affect us on a personal level as much, but nevertheless, having all those planets finish their retrograde means that we have this period in here from the end of January until April with everything moving forward. This is unusual, and it might feel like there's not much spare time because you'll be driving forward with things. There'll be a lot of momentum. You can make a lot of progress. The rest of the year, when we get a few more retrogrades, that's when you can tidy things up and fix things up. If you are planning to initiate anything and get things going with some of your projects and important things from the end of January, a couple of days after the new moon until April, that is the time to do it. And as a note for the future, be aware that March is going to be one of the really interesting months of the year, not only because of eclipses, which happen twice a year anyway, but also because we're going to have two of the big outer planets changing signs, Pluto being one of them, changing from Capricorn into Aquarius, and Saturn changing from Aquarius into Pisces. This is a year, because of these, a year of new beginnings, as well as some clinging on to the old, and we're going to see that. So old stuff and new stuff, another mixture year. So here is the new moon in Aquarius as it looks on the zodiac chart at 1 degree and 32 minutes of Aquarius. Another reason why we have a lot of new beginnings this year is because we have several new moons in a row at 1 degree of their sign. And the energy of any sign is influenced by its ruling planet. And with Uranus, there are two ruling planets. The ancient ruler of Aquarius is Saturn, and the modern ruler is Uranus. Ruled by Saturn means that Aquarius is quite serious, can be tough, takes responsibility and respects duty, and is organized. Ruled by Uranus means that there is quite a different energy with Aquarius as well. That is innovative, revolutionary, sometimes rebellious, new ideas, different thinking, technologically minded. There's a real freshness with Uranus. And the energy of Aquarius is also guided by its element, which is air, which means that Aquarius is quite intellectual and logical and can think objectively, and Aquarius is really good at the big picture stuff, like looking down from above, from up in the air, and looking at how everything can be laid out and fitting together in a big grand plan. And the modality of Aquarius is fixed, and even though it's ruled by Uranus, which is about a sudden change, in between those sudden Uranian changes there's a fixed quality. So Aquarius can be quite reliable and assured and steady. We all have Aquarius somewhere in our chart ruling over a part of our lives. So this might take place in your relationships, or it might take place in your family of origin, your heritage, or it might take place in your career. Whether you've got Aquarius strongly in your chart or not, I think we're all going to be strongly feeling this forward momentum with some backs and forwards a little bit, depending on your chart. But mostly it's just going to be driving forward for those 3 months. At new moon, it is time to pause and rest, catch up on sleep, and it's better not to start things until you see the beautiful crescent moon in the sky a couple of days later, and especially as a couple of days after this new moon, that final planet will turn direct, that is Uranus. So it's a new moon and time to make new starts. Now, if you are interested in what the maramataka or maramataka around the country say about new moon, I've got a little bit of a section about this at the end of the video. So you can stay on to listen to that. It's slightly longer than the rest of the video because I just wanted to take a bit of time over it. Apart from that, let's go on and look at the other energies going on with this new moon. I've taken this chart from astroseek.com, and you can see at the beginning of the sign of Aquarius, the sun and moon together at 1 degree and 30 minutes. So that is a new start for everything Aquarian in the world. At the same time as the new moon, we have got Saturn and Venus conjunct. So this happens around about once a year, but not normally at the exact time of the new moon. So that might mean, despite the forward momentum that we're going to get after this new moon, the first couple of weeks, we might be a little bit under that influence of some holding back Saturn, which is about responsibility, duty, hard work, and things move slowly with Saturn. And Venus is about beauty, love, pleasure, relationships, and money and wealth. So this could be an opportunity to restructure or think about our structures that we've got with our relationships and our finances. We also have Jupiter in sextile aspects to the new moon, and this is usually an aspect that's easy and positive and supportive. So Jupiter is going to be adding to the forward momentum of the new moon, because Jupiter is in Aries, expanding the sense of initiative and drive that Aries has, add a positive aspect to the new moon and the new beginnings that are going on there. So here are some things to think about with this new moon. With any new moon, it's a time to think about new projects and new starts, but with this new moon in particular, what do you want to get through? What work do you want to drive forward with over the next 3 months when we have this supportive energy from the universe to help with that? With the Aquarian energy, what big and visionary ideas do you have? Is there anything especially where it will help humanity on a large scale? Thinking about Saturn conjunct Venus, what structures and organizations do you need for your relationships and your resources or your finances? Maybe it's time to do a budget. Maybe it's time to set up a date night each week so that you're not like ships passing in the night all the time in your relationship. And Aquarius is also about our connections with large groups of people and organizations, and the groups of people that we choose for ourselves rather than our groups that we inherit, like from our family. This is about the ones that we choose. So how are your group connections and the people that you choose to have in your life on the groups of people rather than one-to-one? Thinking about that and any new starts that you want to make in that regard. There we go, everyone. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, or comment. I love reading people's comments, and ask a question if you'd like to. If you would like to buy a calendar, there are still a few available, so please see the contact details about that in the description box below. And if you'd like to stay on and listen to the information that I'm sharing about maramataka from Wirumutawhai, then please do. Apart from that, kia pai tō marama, have a beautiful month. Hei kona rā ka kite. I want to talk a little bit about maramataka, or the Māori calendars that existed in pre-European times and that are really enjoying a renaissance now, people coming back to them and living by their energies. I'm very interested in where the Māori calendars, maramataka, and Western tropical astrology align and where they don't, because in some ways they are different, and what is similar, what is different, and why that is. So this is a research area that I'm looking into. I'm going to talk this time about whiro, and I'm referring to this book, Living by the Moon, by Wiremu Tawhai of Te Whanau Apanui. Whiro, or new moon, is, as it's referred to in most rohe or areas around the country, is a time of low energy, and that does match the Western tropical astrological view. Any other cultures I've come across, and I don't know heaps, all recognize the new moon as a low energy time. So I'm going to read from this beautiful book by Wiremu Tawhai of Te Whanau Apanui. Something he's done that I really love is he's got one column of each page in Te Reo Māori and the other column in the English translation, and that's really nice to read because you can go between both, and sometimes they're a little bit different and you can pick up nuances. Anyway, I'm going to read about what Wiremu Tawhai says about whiro. So the name given to the new moon by most maramataka is whiro, but whiro is also a god or an atua, one of the sons of Rangi and Ranginui and Papatuanuku. Whiro is seen as a dangerous atua or a dangerous god. So reading from Wiremu Tawhai, page 41. Koia nei a whiro, atua o ngā mahi āhua kino. E kore e tino mohiotia ana mahi tūtua, ana mahi tuatea. Kia tūpato tonu i tēnei atua. E ai ki ngā pakeke ki te kore era e tau, he raru, tera e whara. This is whiro, god of dubious intentions, sometimes of sinister purpose, sometimes the obnoxious one. The elders advise caution and care whatever one does at this time, at the time of the new moon. If carelessness occurs, trouble will be attracted. This is the nature of whiro. So there we hear about whiro, atua of darkness, and the atua that the new moon time is named after. So a time to not do too much, but it's a little bit fear-based there, like we need to avoid trouble by not doing too much. However, Wiremu Tawhai then goes on in the next page, which I'll read shortly, to talk about the other side of whiro. Many of you will know the story of Rangi and Papa, who are Rangi being the Sky Father, Papa Tuanuku, the creation, the Earth Mother, and how Tāne Mahuta, their son, separated them, the sky from the earth. They were lovers, they were entwined, and Tāne Mahuta was one of the sons of those two who wanted to separate them so that the light could come in and people could live. And he did that, he separated them. But whiro was one of the atua who was against this course of action and spoke out against it. But I'm going to read a little bit about the other side of whiro as described by Wiremu Tawhai. But we younger people were always mildly surprised and intrigued at the flippant way the elders dealt with whiro. They showed little fear despite the potential of whiro for trouble and pestilence. They recognized a dual personality in his character, remembering that whiro was one of the brothers who exposed the action of Tāne when he separated their parents at the time of the creation. So there was a hidden admiration for whiro, despite his reputation as a troublemaker. These are some of the feelings surrounding whiro, this very special night of the lunar month. Whiro was special too because it is such a beautiful sight in itself. And the Māori phrase for that, as written by Wiremu Tawhai, he whakāhua a tāhua anō hoki tōna. So there we go. I wanted to talk about maramataka, and you can find out information for yourself. There are so many people practicing in this now, as well as Wuramutawhai, who has passed. Many of you, I'm sure, follow Dr. Rangi Matamua, who has made Matariki so famous and been instrumental in bringing about our Matariki holiday. Also, Rereata Makiha from up north, where I grew up. And there are younger practitioners as well, such as Eila Hoeta and Heni Hotereni. So I love following them and learning about it. It's a slow process, because there's lots of different maramataka and lots of information, and sometimes hard to access it, but that's my intention. So hei kona rā, ka kite, have a wonderful month in Aquarius.